In this video, you are going to get an ownership review of my NC Miata, and we'll go rip around on a nice sunny day. I've been a long-time Miata enthusiast after owning my NV Miata for over 4 years, so let's see how it compares to my new NC. So this right here is my 2014 NC Mazda Miata. I've owned it for 6 months, and honestly, it's been one of the most conflicting cars that I've ever owned, because on one hand, I absolutely love it, but this exact car has given me some issues here and there. I picked this up all the way in Texas. I live in Michigan. So I drove, I think it was 1,300 miles or so with this car all the way from Texas to Michigan. And it was the longest road trip I've ever done. It took 2 days and it was definitely an experience. As soon as I got it home, I started uncovering some issues with the car. It was pretty neglected by the previous owner. Some of the modifications, some of the maintenance definitely was not done properly. So for the last 6 months, I've been spending a lot of time, a lot of money making this car a genuinely very good driving vehicle. I've taken this on 3 or 4 track days so far. It's been a blast. I've ran into issues, I've fixed them, I've conquered them, and now I think I'm finally in a spot with the car where I genuinely feel like I can drive this exactly how I want to. And because of all of my experience with this NC Miata, my old NB Miata that was on the channel, I feel like I can give a pretty definitive kind of 6-month ownership review of the NC Mazda Miata. I'll have my NC Miata playlist linked below if you're interested in specifics, but basic overview of the car, I've got Konig Hypergrams, some Continental all seasons. I also have an identical set of Hypergrams with RT660s, those are my track tire. I have a Progress front and rear sway bar, Goodwin Racing long travel coilovers with their street spring rate. Previous owner threw on sort of a duckbill spoiler, as well as a diffuser. I think these are probably just from eBay. I don't think that they're anything crazy expensive, if I had to guess. I have a Goodwin Racing SuperQ Muffler, mated to a double resonated midpipe and with a catless header. The sound is pretty fantastic. It has lots of pops in between shifts. I think it is an excellent, excellent sounding vehicle. Pops. For the power mods, I have a VersaTuner tune on the car. I have a Fab 9 internet tune. Just kind of did a couple revisions and it's running pretty well. There's an Auto, I think EXE brace. This came from the previous owner. I've added in a Track Dog Racing intake as well as their engine bay kit. And with that, I also threw in a very, very lightweight and small battery. Clears up a lot of room, kind of right where the radiator is, and that's really important for track. It clears out a lot of heat. The only real kryptonite of the NC Miata is this guy right here. This is the coolant reservoir tank, and they tend to sort of fall apart over time, and it can lead to a coolant leak and eventually overheat a motor. So a lot of people put in metal replacements. I've just kept the OEM one. This is basically brand new. I'm gonna run it for at least another year, and it's not that big of a deal. I mean, just monitor it, make sure that it doesn't look anything crazy. A lot of times they'll kind of yellow right before they're about to fail, so just look out for it. My specific car, like I said, is a 2014, so it's an NC2. That's really important. They went through sort of a refresh in 2009. My specific car is a power retractable hardtop car. There's 2 options, right? You can get a soft top, you can get a hard top. In my opinion, if this is like your street car, I would highly recommend getting a power retractable hardtop. I think they look good, and that's kind of controversial. They are a touch quieter. Not only that, I think it's just a little bit more secure. I mean, realistically, You're not like, you know, people can't cut into this top. Only downside is if you do track the car heavily, you cannot really fit a roll bar in this, but it is kind of sick watching it go back. I added in a smart top controller, which was a super simple mod. It allows me to, with one kind of touch, the roof just goes back. I don't have to hold it at all. And I can go, I think it's like 30 miles per hour, which is really nice if you're in between a stoplight or like it starts raining all of a sudden. You're like, oh crap, I gotta put my top up. You just press the button once, take your hand off, you drive around, do whatever you gotta do, and it just goes back up. It's really pretty sick. And unlike the ND RFs, this is like a true convertible. Like this is genuinely, your whole roof goes back. It's not like this section stays like the ND RF. This is so sick. And I kind of wish that the NDs had this exact same design. So my specific car is a 2014. If you are going to be into modifying or racing, I would highly recommend getting an NC2 or above. There's a couple sort of major distinctions between the NC1 and the NC2. Number one, the engine is stronger. It has forged internals. So if you're going to boost your car, that's the one to get. Number two, with the NC2, they did a lot of work to sort of make it a little bit more robust. The transmission is slightly stronger. They used sort of the NC Miata Cup cars, found weak points in the system, and were able to kind of revise it there. It also uses a lot of parts from the RX-8. You can use front hubs from the RX-8. You can use sway bars. You can for the NC1 in some areas, but like hubs, for example, the NC2 makes it a direct swap because there's some differences, I think, with the ABS sensor with the NC1s. So, long story short, if you're going to be super into performance or racing, modifying, get an NC2. Not saying that the NC1s aren't worth it. The NC2s are just like, they're just better. You might be asking, is this a reliable vehicle? Overall, yes. In my specific example, this was a horrible buy on my part, and it has had a lot of issues, but that is because of the previous owner neglecting it and doing stupid stuff. Overall, the NC Miatas are pretty robust. If you get an NC2, there really aren't that many things that kind of go wrong. I had to recently replace the clutch master cylinder, and because there's a lot of these out on the road and it's like a pretty cheap car, there's lots of parts. And that is very important because I was able to find like a clutch master cylinder that was like an OEM replacement. It was like $40. I threw it in, it took like an hour, all good, 100% good. So there's a lot of parts for sale for the NC Miatas, and that's really great, both OEM replacements as well as aftermarket performance. The NC Miata platform is really growing, and it's awesome to see. People are finally starting to realize these cars are kind of sick. Hi, what's up? Anyway, like I was saying, these cars are pretty robust. You can do a lot with them. Flying Miata actually recently did their turbo kits for the NC Miata, and it's so sick. I had their kit on my NB Miata, and I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't pricing it out and maybe potentially thinking about doing it. I don't know for sure though, we'll see. But long story short, NC Miatas are pretty reliable. They're easy to work on. A little bit trickier than the NA and the NB Miatas. There's more technology going on. Suspension's a little bit more complicated. The engine is super far back. It's like here. And so it makes it a little bit tough to work on, but overall, pretty easy. If you're interested in seeing some of the work that I've done on this car, definitely subscribe. I've got a lot of videos already posted, a lot of videos already coming down the pipeline, so stick around, doing lots of stuff with this car. So what is it like to live with the NC Miata inside the car? It is obviously pretty small, a little bit cramped in here, though I will say compared to the NA and the NB Miata, there's a lot more storage solutions. You have, you know, a cubby back here, you know, your sort of cup holder area here. There's also a lot more technology, and that's, in my opinion, fantastic. My trim is the Grand Touring trim, so it's got some optional extras like heated seats. It's got these leather seats and just some nice little touches here and there. Having a mirror that can open your garage is low-key like so good. I love having that. But the NC gets, you know, steering wheel controls, you obviously have cruise control, AC. Overall, it's a pretty like, you know, for 2006 to 2015, whatever, it's fine. At least you have the technology. I threw in, well, actually I didn't throw in, the previous owner threw in a Android Auto head unit, and this one works fine. These seats, if you get the leather, I will say they're very slippery, and I don't know if it's because of the leather, but they are like hard, like rocks. And I personally am not comfortable in these seats. I actually bought a Recaro that I'm going to try to put in here. We'll see if it fits, just because I kind of get annoyed with the seats. One other major complaint, and I would highly recommend test driving an NC Miata before buying, the footwell is kind of awkward. There is a transmission tunnel and it really protrudes into where the pedal box is, and it makes it kind of tough to get comfortable in this car. So let's take a seat and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here are these standard pedals. You obviously have your clutch, your brake, and your throttle. You can see that the transmission tunnel really is very close, and it just makes you feel very cramped. So it's gonna be kind of hard to see, but let's say I'm driving, this is my right foot hitting the gas pedal. If I need to brake, I need to do this. That's what I need to do to hit the actual brake. And holding this position kind of sucks. You have to be like this almost. And just going back and forth like this is kind of annoying. Here's kind of a closer look. The pedals are all just pretty close to one another, and usually that's not an issue. But because of this transmission tunnel, I'm never able to get my right foot to be like far enough over to where it's away from the brake and it feels comfortable. It's like super nitpicky, but it's honestly the one thing that I genuinely hate about this car is just the ergonomics of it. And they fixed it with the ND. It's way less intrusive of a transmission tunnel, and your body is just like, you're able to actually sit forward and straight. Whereas this car, I feel like I am constantly like this, and it's uncomfortable to just be like bent this way. All in all, I think that the NC Miata interior is fine. You get technology. It's not the nicest thing in the world. Who cares? It's a sports car. It's fine. The one kind of added benefit of an NC Miata compared to like an NB or an NA is that there also are a lot more airbags, and it's a bigger car. The crash testing is better. That stuff makes a difference. There's a lot of stupid people on the road right now, and if you get hit in an NA Miata, you're like toast. This, it's like you're still probably gonna be like messed up, but you got airbags, you got side airbags, and I think that this car would fare a lot better than an older NB or NA Miata. Personally, I just love the way that the NC Miata looks. I think that the power retractable hardtop is, debatable. Some people really like it, some people don't. I like it, I think it looks good. The NC, in my opinion, has one of the best front ends of any Miata. I mean, just look how big of a smile it has. It's amazing. The fender arches are very aggressive. I mean, it pushes out so far, and it just looks kind of sick, if I'm being honest. Previous owner threw on this splitter. I think it looks pretty good as well. Gives it sort of a fake, downforce. But overall, yeah, I really like the way that the NC Miata looks. And because it's a bigger car, there are certain benefits that come with it. You can get a lot more trunk space with an NC Miata. You're not going to be blowing away anyone with the amount of room in here, but I don't really have issues with this car fitting stuff in here. Like, for a meme, I was able to fit like a couple bags of mulch, which, that was a meme. That was a meme video. But like when I'm going to tracks and track days, I'm able to fit like actually everything that I need. And I wasn't really able to do that with my NB Miata. I always had to sort of skimp out on something. Like literally everything that I need for a track day, I can fit in this car just because it's a bit bigger. And sure, people make fun of it for being a boat. It doesn't exactly weigh that much more than like an NB Miata. It's, for all the benefits that you get, stronger like hubs, it's a bigger chassis. There's more interior space, there's more trunk space. Sure, I'll take the extra like 100, 150 pounds, who cares? I don't know, the NC to me is like, it's a no-brainer. I get the love for the older, you know, really small NA and NB Miatas, but there's no denying that this is just, it's a more practical car. And again, this is coming from someone who has owned an NB. I loved that car, but I recognize that it had shortcomings. And I think the NC Miata is just sort of incrementally a better car. So let's talk price. I bought this one for $16,000. I overpaid. Like, I'll 100% be honest there. I overpaid for it. It has, I think, 58,000 miles, and it is an NC3, so it means that it has a nice redesigned front bumper. It looks very good. I would say you could get an NC Miata that's pretty clean, maybe like under 80,000 miles for like $15,000. If you want to get an NC1, those are really cheap. They're like $10,000, $9,000, somewhere around there. A clean NC2, yeah, it's probably like 15K. Is that a lot of money? Yeah. But also when you're considering that like NA and NB Miatas, for example, they're like getting up there in price. They're kind of overpriced in my opinion. Like a clean NB is maybe like 8,000, 9,000, 10,000. Just get an NC. Like, I don't know. I just feel like they're just kind of overall better. I do think the ND1 versus NC3 debate is kind of interesting though, because you can get ND1s for very cheap. They're like $17,000, $18,000 maybe. And yeah, NC3s are kind of like right up there. So it is sort of like, okay, well, now they're kind of the same price. So that's more of a debate. But in my opinion, I've owned an NB, I would get an NC every single time. Let's go take this for a drive and I'll show you what it's like to experience. The exhaust note on this car is so good. I love the way that the NC Miata sounds. And it also it kind of makes you feel like you're gonna die because it's a very vibrating noise as you get up top. It's good. It's a good sounding car. Steering, very quick to respond. Throttle as well is just super quick. And it makes it feel like you're driving a sports car. Like this is genuinely, it's a really, really good time. I love driving this thing. Not a lot of torque down low. And elephant in the room, it's not a fast car. Like let's be honest, the NC Miata is it's slow. But what that allows you to do is just genuinely use all the power you have on the street, and you're not breaking the speed limit or doing anything crazy. And it's just such a breath of fresh air because you get the top down, you get the amazing exhaust note, but you can enjoy the car. With fast cars, I feel like on the street, I would rather be driving this. Oh God, transmission, once you get it warmed up, it's super smooth. Definitely the first couple shifts, after a cold start, they're very clunky and it's not a great feeling. Mine has kind of trouble getting into second gear when it's super cold out, but once it's warmed up, it's so easy. Heel and toe, easy. Everything about this car is just pretty nice. I love driving this thing hard. It's so good. These coilovers as well, I would highly recommend getting a quality set of coilovers. If you have an NC Miata or you want to get one, don't skimp out. Definitely, get good stuff. It's a pretty capable car, and I think that this is a great tool for me personally to learn on because I'm not necessarily the best driver in the world. I'm absolutely not. I would actually say I'm pretty bad. And this car allows me to really feel what's going on. The steering communicates what it's doing. If you know what the car is gonna do. And I think that's really important, and it's something that is kind of taken for granted. Being able to feel, what each grip of the tire has. And so you can adjust the slip as needed. It's a fantastic fantastic driving experience. Again, I would take a Miata out of like a lot of cars. This is just such a good platform, a good car to have on the street. I enjoy driving it. If you have like a bad day at the office, like I do basically every single day of my life, getting into this, popping the convertible down, and just like going for a nice drive is awesome. Now, downsides. There aren't many. I mean, obviously, this straight line speed is not there, but again, it kind of lets you use a lot of the car that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. And so for that reason, I don't feel like it's that big of a deal that it is a little bit slow. I think this car probably is making like 160 to 170 like wheel horsepower, if I had to guess. Not a lot. There aren't necessarily like a lot of rattles and creaks per se, but when you hit bumps, you hear it, and you hear it all around the car, even on like stock suspension. These cars are just not very well isolated from the environment, so on the highway, super loud. It doesn't drone actually, weirdly enough. Like I have a full uncorked exhaust, and this thing, it doesn't drone at all. So it, you know, from that standpoint, it's good, but a lot of road noise, even with all-season tires, a lot of wind noise, even with the hardtop. They're just not a super refined car. So those are the downsides. Other than that, I freaking love this thing. It is truly an amazing vehicle, an amazing experience. If you have any Miata, you're already winning. Like I've said that time and time again, don't knock these cars until you try them, because they're so much fun. And with a couple, you know, key modifications, they can be really, really capable. That's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.